Hi, my name is Tonya Robinson Lloyd. I'm a master's level clinician with over 15 years of successfully providing therapy to both children and adults. My videos would provide three things. Firstly, identification of mental health challenges. Secondly, an understanding of how these mental health challenges look like from a day to day perspective. And finally, providing coping mechanisms based on the Resilient Stars program that I wrote that uses cognitive behavioral therapy as well as motivational interviewing. Today's topic is how to talk so teens will listen. Just a quotation from a couple of former students, their names have been changed. My mom thinks I'm lazy, but I miss my dad and I can't figure out what happened, and doing chores seems to be too much right now. And that was a quote from an eighth grader. We would call her Jaden. My mom feels guilty about what happened to me. I can't tell her my stuff. She can't cope with it. And that again was from an eighth grader. We're going to call her Maria. In this video, you would learn why teens seem difficult to communicate with at times. You would also learn techniques on how to communicate with them in a manner that would get them to do what they have to do or to be motivated toward doing what they have to do. Let's look at the first piece. Why teens seem difficult to communicate with at times. And that has to do with the period that they're going through, which is known as storm or strung. And that was actually something that Sigmund Freud's daughter coined, Anna Freud coined. It's a period of frustration. They're not quite children and they're not quite adults. And so it's an uncertain period where their friends become their main influencers. And you would see teens wanting to go to their friends for advice rather than seeking out the advice of adults, right? Just recently, one of the teens that I work with said to me that it's easy to talk to me because I'm fun. I said, oh, I see. Well, thank you for that. Right, and so we get into the techniques. Technique number one, we have to ask our teens to try to express what they have to say to us. And here's what we do not want to do. We do not want to tell them, yes, I've been through that problem. Here's what you need to do. Or, yes, you need to pray about this problem, right? So we want to acknowledge, firstly, what it is that they're trying to communicate, even if it's not something that we would necessarily condone or even agree with. What we want to do is to simply understand. That's it. That is the task. Understand, what is my child feeling? What is my child thinking? And how can I help my child work towards resolving their situations on their own? And that's where they get their confidence, being able to not only realize that they're having a problem, but that they have the capacity to resolve their problems as well. And one of the things that they will learn is that they do need to ask for help, right? And finding the right people where they feel comfortable to get that help. Okay, and so let's take something practical. Let's suppose that your child is suddenly, you're noticing a change in their grades. And so naturally, you're very frustrated, you're upset. And your child says to you, I don't know what it is. I get bombarded with these thoughts. right? Like thoughts that I can't do this, or thoughts that I'm going to fail you. Now, what we want to do is to listen until the child gets to the end of all of that, to say, whew, if I was thinking that, I'm going to feel the exact same way too. And we stop. And then hear what else they might have to say, right? So we don't question why, we don't judge their thoughts as being silly or illogical or just nonsense that they need to shake out of it and get over. That would shut down communication completely. You would find your child is not coming to you to share their thoughts. So please just listen and then try to put yourselves in their shoes. Do not offer advice or judgment. Then just ask your child, how long have you been feeling like this? What have you tried to cope with it? Do you think that it's been helpful? How do you know it has been helpful? And get them to talk. And as they talk and as they share, they are going to start to come up with, where we get into the Resilient Stars coaching piece, they're going to start to identify their situation. They're going to also identify how they think about their situation, as well as possible solutions. And then they could brainstorm, whether the solution is good or not. They can weigh the pros and cons, right? And so you're going to ask your child to list all the pros of whatever solution they come up with. We cannot judge it. We can't say, well, that isn't going to work, right? We want to say, okay, you have a solution. Now let's put it to the test. What are the pros of this solution? And then what are the cons of this solution? And then ask them to tell you, is this a good solution? Right, and they would know if it's a good solution, because typically good solutions have more pros than cons. And this brings us to the end of today's video, how to talk so that teens would listen. We have to first listen to what they have to say, to seek to understand. And we want to hold off from our judgment in every way possible. I look forward to sharing with you every week, typically on Wednesdays or Saturdays. And just, please feel free to visit our website, www.rlrgresilientstars.com, to book a free session or free consultation. Looking forward to next time. Bye for now.